Ladies and gentlemen, what a freaking day, guys. I mean, like, we got two of the most epic, unhinged meltdowns to go over. We got one with Dan Crenshaw. He's like the ultimate rhino. And there's another one from MSNBC's resident propagandist, Rachel Maddow. Now, both of these folks are just absolutely losing it, guys, because the America First movement is winning. And they just can't handle it. But first, let's go ahead and start off with old Dan Crenshaw's shocking outburst. We got some leaked footage here that has surfaced of Dan Crenshaw ultimately threatening Tucker Carlson. That's right, guys. You heard it here first. And we also have a sitting member of Congress who just issued a death threat against a journalist because his feelings were, let's just say that they were hurt. Oh, and by the way, guys, if you guys appreciate the daily news updates, please take a second, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel. But take a listen here.
Have you ever met Tucker?
We've talked a lot. If I ever meet him, I'll finally kill him. He's the worst person.
Dang. Wow. Did you hear that guy? Like, absolutely, like, disgusting. I mean, this guy is a congressman. He is a sitting congressman. This guy is unhinged. But I want to go ahead and point out the massive hypocrisy here, okay? Now, if a Trump ally even hinted at something like this, okay, the media would be in an uproar. And you know it, right? Comment down below if you agree with me here, guys. But since it's Crenshaw, Dan Crenshaw, the fake conservative who basically votes with Democrats more than Republicans, they're willing to sweep it under the rug. Who does this guy remind us of? Mitch McConnell, right? So why is Dan Crenshaw so mad? Well, let's be honest, guys. Tucker Carlson, he straight up called him out and he just can't stand it. Tucker Carlson exposed Dan Crenshaw as one of the most left-wing members of Congress, despite his whole conservative front, right? And, you know, he got cowboys. He's got cowboy boots on. He's like waving an American flag on the back of his truck. You know, he's playing tough on TV. Meanwhile, he's actually supporting every single globalist agenda imaginable.
Single most left-wing, truly left-wing member of Congress I've ever met personally is a Republican from this area who has no interest in the United States whatsoever and does not even pretend. I'm not going to name names. Oh, I think that's right. Yeah, it's Dan Crenshaw, the most liberal, most left-wing person I've ever met in the Congress. I'm just being serious. I mean, structurally, how does that happen?
Throw on some cowboy boots and you buy a shotgun and go out there and take a picture shooting at some pheasants, and you learn how to speak the lingo a little bit, watch a little bit of Tucker Carlson. Now you know what to say, how to deceive exactly, and you find yourself in a position of power, kneecapping people on the right time after time after time. Our controlled opposition problem is so bad, and that's why we always feel like we're playing tug of war with Whoopi Goldberg. It just doesn't feel like you can win.
So I guess I'm a racist redneck. Okay. I didn't know I fell into that category. So yeah, I'm not really sure being fair to the truth is top of their priorities here. You know what I mean, guys? Now, Rodriguez also mentioned how Holt has somehow taken viewers to the front lines of every major story and sat down with world leaders, skillfully eliciting answers on consequential issues, which brings us again to his viral moment with then Vice President Kamala Harris, asking her about not going to the border and her saying she hasn't been to Europe either. Classic. I mean, they're just falling like dominoes at this point, you guys. Holt's announcement comes as NBC News and MSNBC have seen major changes in recent months, with Holt leaving today, former Meet the Press moderator Chuck Todd leaving NBC News, Andrea Mitchell ending her daytime MSNBC program, and Joy Reid's program being canceled by MSNBC. Now, at this point, guys, there's just not much reason to even watch a legacy network that is biased. Now, if you guys want the pure left-wing point of view, go ahead and flip on over to MSNBC. I ain't gonna stop you. But honestly, guys, if you look at everything else among the old brands, at the end of the day, they're just really watered down MSNBC. And if you look closely, these are all run by people who pretty much believe in the same MSNBC worldview. Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below. Now, if you're anything like me and our YouTube community, TV, then you probably are tuning to new media these days. There's just so many choices no matter what your taste or your age is. Fox News is there, both broadcast and online. People call it the backbone of the new media ecosystem. Now, I know a lot of people actually going back to talk radio and more these days. Podcasts, YouTube channels like ours, just to name a few. There's the editors from National Review, the McCarthy Report, Getting Hammered with Mary Catherine Ham and Vic Mattis, the Commentary Podcast, Call Me Back with Dan Center, Ruthless, the Megyn Kelly Show. Did I mention Joe Rogan? Anyway, these are just off the top of my head. I mean, that's why Barron Trump and Alex Brucerowitz both helped guide President Trump to the enormous online audiences under age 35. These guys don't go to legacy media anymore for their news, not even for a second. Instead, they just listen to podcasts for hours. You'll notice it with the ad spends too. The folks who buy advertising long ago, they realize that their budgets just go further with new media because their potential audience are there. We as a people have moved on to these new platforms. I mean, like, we're here together on YouTube right now, aren't we? Now, unlike what mainstream media thinks, we are not operating out of habit. We are actively cutting the cords, and we're choosing media that actually tells us the truth about our country. Am I right, guys? We don't want predictable, biased content pushed on us on different types of displays. We don't want newsletters with last generation columnists. Even the New York Times is surviving mainly off of its word puzzles and recipes. But at this point, they're just shuffling chairs on the Titanic. How long until advertisers only want the puzzles and recipes and subscribers figure out that there's a lot of free and even better puzzles and recipes on the new media? You know what I mean, guys? I mean, it's like a death spiral, and it's just accelerating faster and faster. Drop a quick yes in the comments down below and hit the like button if I'm making sense to you guys. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on all notifications for more updates like this one. Now, continuing on with our discussion, if you want more proof of legacy media being scared for their lives, look no further than MSNBC, where they just canceled Joy Reid's show, The Reid Out. Conservative commentators say good riddance. Now, honestly, guys, this news may be the first time she's actually bought any of us any joy, because this woman has given President Trump and his supporters a lot of grief. She's been super racist, and she's also said some pretty controversial statements on air. Here, watch.
In America, there's a thing about both white vigilantism and white tears, particularly male white tears. Really white tears in general, because that's what Karens are, right? They Karen out, and then as soon as they get caught, it's like, Green Waterworks. White men can get away with that too. And it has the same effect. Even as the right tries to politicize the idea that masculinity is being robbed from American men by multiculturalism and wokeism.
That's, of course, that was on TikTok. That wasn't on TV. 2 days. Give me one where she's from television saying this crazy stuff. Either that Trump is a fascist or Kamala ran a flawless campaign.
We've laid out the stakes in this crucial election, where one side stands for freedom while the other meets the textbook definition of fascism, namely a far-right dictatorial regime like Hitler's Germany or Franco's Spain or Mussolini's Italy, but also white-ruled South Africa before Mandela and the black majority took control, or Vladimir Putin's Russia, Viktor Orban's Hungary, or Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela today.
That was pretty well done television. They had all those dudes' pictures up on a gigantic wall and scrolled across them. She's indicative of, there was a style of commentary where you had to race even further to the insanity. You had to become more hyperbolic. You had to embrace, causing fear. Honestly, think about the people that listen to MSNBC. And when I lived in New York, I knew a lot. I knew some people who said this. I really like Joy Reid. I'm like, are you kidding me? Think about the people that consumed that on a nightly basis. You were pumping pure insanity into the minds of what we know was a pretty small minority, actually. Ratings were terrible for Joy Reid. Ratings are terrible for MSNBC. There's not a single show on MSNBC, including $25 to $30 million paid Rachel Maddow in primetime, that outrates the Will Cain show. Not a single one. And they're all fractions. We're not even talking about it's a close race. They're not even fractions. So the audience is small. And by the way, it's old. People don't talk about that. They always say that when it comes to Fox. Oh, the demographic from Fox is old. The demographic for MSNBC is really old. I think we think of progressivism and this kind of wokeism as a young thing, but the people that watch that stuff on a night in, night out basis, they're old. But she was a source of constant fodder for people like me that have podcasts, that need something fun to laugh at, like the idea that Kamala Harris ran a flawless campaign.
I mean, this really was an historic, flawlessly run campaign. Queen Latifah never endorses anyone. She came out and endorsed. She had every prominent celebrity voice. She had the Taylor Swift, she had the Swifties, she had the Beehive. Like, you could not have run a better campaign in that short period of time. And I think that's still true.
I mean, seriously, did Kamala Harris really run a flawless campaign for you guys? You know what I call a flawless campaign? The one that won in November, the one that got Trump both the Electoral College and the popular vote. Former FCC Chairman Ajit Pai even used that same clip of Joy Reid praising Kamala Harris's campaign and sarcastically called it an unfortunate development for Joy Reid's viewer. Considering the host's insightful analysis on political topics, needless to say, MSNBC canceled her show as a part of a major shakeup at the network. Joy Reid's 7 p.m. Eastern Time program will be replaced by a show featuring Simone Sanders Townsend, a former spokesperson to Vice President Kamala Harris, Alicia Menendez, an RNC chair turned MSNBC host, Michael Steele, probably hoping to give viewers more of a balanced point of view. Then again, this is MSNBC we're talking about, so don't get your hopes up too high. But still, critics are celebrating the good news about Reid getting her show canceled. Many took the opportunity to revisit some viral clips of Joy Reid. TJ Moe wrote a throwback to when Joy Reid suggested that Trump surviving the shooting and going immediately to the RNC was exactly the same as Joe Biden beating COVID and going to the DNC. So for him, unsurprisingly, her show is canceled. Geiger Capital recalled the time in 2022 when Joy Reid said that most Americans don't really care about inflation. They don't even know what the heck the word means, that they won't vote based on it. Well, they did. And here we are. Then, of course, there's actor Michael Rappaport, who called out Joy Reid for pissing away her opportunity with what he called short-sighted, racially weaponized, quarter-truth garbage. Plus, he brought up the fact that they did it on a Sunday morning. So for him, that deserves a double ha 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 ha. Hashtag joyless, hashtag Joy Reid. Conservative Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene did not pass up on the chance either and said that ad executives and the board finally figured out that racism, lies, and Trump derangement syndrome will put them out of business. Finally, somebody said it. Now, of course, liberal commentators slammed the network for their decision, just proving even more that it was the right one. Wajahat Ali, a liberal commentator and writer, went straight to blaming it on, you guessed it, racism. He said, she's a blunt black woman, so of course her show is canceled. Not lost on any of us. It's always racism with these folks, but we seem to be doing okay, right, guys? Now, talking more about controversial media, there was a recent, let's just call it, disturbance over at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, where hackers reportedly broadcasted a fake video depicting President Donald Trump kissing Tesla CEO Elon Musk's feet. Now, of course, we're not going to go ahead and show the video here. We're not going to do that. We're not going to give these haters any more airtime. But instead, we're going to talk about how this is going to blow up in their faces. I mean, already, social media has been erupting with calls for authorities to track down the hackers to hold them responsible for broadcasting the footage. A lot of them are suspecting federal government workers whose friends got laid off. We'll know pretty soon. HUD spokeswoman Casey Lovett promised in their statement that appropriate action will be taken for all involved, even calling the stunt another waste of taxpayer dollars and resources. You see, these people are just so desperate. So it's our job to expose them and get them the heck out of here. Let them follow Holt and Reid's example and just fade into insignificance. You know what I mean, guys? Drop a quick yes or no in the comments down below. Let me know what you guys think about this one. Also, don't forget to check out our recommended videos for you at the end of this one. As always, appreciate y'all hitting the like button. Thank you so much for subscribing. And let's go ahead and just call a spade, right? Let's break his track record down, right? So he called President Trump a scam artist. He supports limiting the Second Amendment. He pushed for harsher punishments on the J6 political prisoners. Yes, those same innocent patriots that got locked away for supporting our current president, Donald Trump, who was literally being attacked by Joe Biden's DOJ. He voted for more funding for the Ukraine, basically because, sending billions of dollars to a foreign country is apparently conservative now. And he wants more U.S. troops, our men and women, our soldiers who are here to defend the United States. He wants more U.S. troops in the Middle East. So let me ask you guys, does that sound like a Republican to you? No, of course not. Sounds like a Democrat in disguise, like wearing a mask or whatever, right? Like working against Trump, working against the American people, working against MAGA. And so what was Tucker Carlson's response to all this, right? Did Tucker Carlson get emotional like Dan Crenshaw did? Well, did he start crying like a Libby? Nah. He just calmly invited Crenshaw to an interview, which, let's be honest, guys, Crenshaw will probably never accept it. And even if he did, if I'm Tucker Carlson, I would definitely have some metal detectors and make sure that guy got searched before sitting with me. I'm just saying, because anyway, this guy, he's all talk, he's no action. Just like pretty much every other controlled opposition politician who gets paid to weaken the Republican Party from the inside. So anyway, so Crenshaw wasn't the only one that was losing it and melting down this week, guys. Let's talk about Rachel Maddow, shall we? So Rachel Maddow absolutely loses it over Joy Reid's cancellation. I don't know if they're like Uno buddies or, poker partners or whatever. But anyway, MSNBC, they're falling apart. And it's entertaining to watch, to be honest with you. I mean, like the whole lineup is collapsing. Their ratings are in the toilet. And Joy Reid, she just got axed. So what was Joy Reid's reaction? Crying. Literally. I'm not even exaggerating here. Like no hyperbole, sobbing on TV.
Had value, and that that what I was doing had value. And in the end, I try not to cry on TV.
Oh, please, man. This woman, this lady, she spent years spewing all sorts of anti-Trump garbage, race baiting, blaming white people for everything. And now she's surprised that people don't want to watch this garbage anymore. And she was like, I was providing value. What value were you providing, lady? Well, at least she don't have to continue to, do that anymore. She said she didn't want to cry on TV. Hey, she ain't got to worry about that now. She ain't got to be on TV. Yeah. But guys, it gets better because then we had Rachel Maddow. She jumped in with the most predictable excuse ever. And of course, she blamed it all on racism. Watch.
I'll tell you, it is also unnerving to see that on a network where we've got two non-white hosts in primetime, both of our non-white hosts in primetime are losing their shows, as is Katie Fang on the weekend. And that feels worse than bad, no matter who replaces them. That feels indefensible, and I do not defend it.
Here we go again. Anytime a liberal faces any kind of consequences, it's never their fault. It's never because they're doing a terrible job. It's never because they're terrible at their job or because their audience has abandoned them and the ratings are plummeting. It must be racism. I mean, I don't know if they understand how business works. If the network doesn't get ratings, they're not making money. Then they can't afford to pay the anchor. And so how is that racism? It sounds like it's kind of like basic math, but I guess they can't do basic math. But let's be real just for a second here, right? So MSNBC, they're failing because of racism. It's failing because people are tired of it's not failing because of racism. Like this is what they keep saying, but it's not true. They're actually failing because people are just tired of watching this stuff. And that's why the ratings are people don't stop watching things they like, right? They have one message over and over and over that they try to sell us, which is everything's Trump's fault. White people are bad and America's racist. I mean, like, this is what watching MSNBC is like, I mean, it's crazy. Like it's beyond comical at this point. So it's like America first versus America last divide. That's basically what it is here. Like, so here's where I think this is where we're at right now, guys. I mean, people are waking up. They're sick of these fake ass Republicans like Dan Crenshaw working against Trump. They're sick of the left-wing media constantly playing this victim card, and they're showing it with their support here. Trump's approval ratings, they're at an all-time high now. MAGA's movement is growing stronger with every single day. Meanwhile, MSNBC is collapsing, and rhinos are being exposed. They lied to us about how well Kamala Harris was doing in the polls. They just keep doing this, right? And so people are done. And this is the real divide in America here. It's not left versus, right anymore. It's about America first versus America last. And on one side, you got people like Trump, Tucker Carlson, and the America First movement fighting to put the country back on top. But on the other hand, you got America Last supporters, or the America Last crowd, rhinos like Dan Crenshaw, they're race baiting propagandists like Rachel Maddow, desperately trying to cling to their failed narratives and trying to keep eyeballs. And I don't know, guys. I mean, let me tell you something, folks. The America Last movement, it's failing. They're melting down in real time because they know that their days are numbered. And me, for one, I'm loving every second of it. It's pure entertainment. And I love uncovering the truth because it was amazing how many people just didn't even realize that this was going on until shows like us, came out. But anyway, by the way, if you guys are enjoying the content, definitely hit the like button. I really appreciate the support. Consider subscribing to the channel as well. But what do you guys think? Should Dan Crenshaw be kicked off of the Republican Party or kicked out of the Republican Party? Let me know. Do you think Rachel Maddow is going to be next to get fired? Because I think she did take a pay cut already. But let me know in the comments down below. I really appreciate the support, you guys. It's our time now as legacy media is crumbling and basically just simply fading away at this point. Their audiences are declining, subscriptions are plummeting, and their advertising revenue is shaky at best. Makes you wonder who's next, right? The View? Maybe they're going to fire Whoopi Goldberg and the rest of the ladies from The View, huh? Man, wouldn't that be the day, huh? Comment down below if you guys are betting that The View might be next. But hey, Holt and Reid are already a big score against mainstream media. NBC News executive, Vice President of Programming Janelle Rodriguez thanked Holt for what she called leading the network during some of the country's most fraught and challenging times in the past decade, most notably during the early days of the pandemic when Lester's voice was a source of comfort each night for so many people. But then again, we have a clip of him actually blaming free will for COVID deaths. And hey, do you guys remember when Holt in 2021 pressed the then Vice President Kamala Harris about why she hadn't been to the southern border? Her response that went viral, "And I haven't been to Europe." You remember that conversation, right? Man, was that classic. Joy Reid's full of them too. Apart from her usual attacks against Trump supporters and on the president himself, she's also been recorded saying that Kamala Harris ran a flawless campaign and that most Americans don't even care about inflation. And yeah, we got the clips to prove that too. They're not fake either, unlike the videos that took over the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Apparently, hackers were able to breach the agency's security and broadcasted a fake video depicting President Donald Trump kissing Tesla CEO Elon Musk's feet. I can't make this stuff up, guys. Yeah, you know these guys are super duper desperate, right? Because what are they doing now? It's just downright petty, right? You know what I mean? Make sure you guys stick around for this one because we have a lot to get into today. By the way, if you guys appreciate the daily news updates like this, please take a second, hit the like button for the video. It really does help out with the YouTube algorithm. And thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. All right, guys. So our first headline today, NBC's Lester Holt saying goodbye to NBC Nightly News. Like my uncle said, goodbye, Lester Hoax. Because it wasn't too long ago that this guy actually blamed free will for COVID deaths. Here, watch this.
We counted on the tools, the vaccines, the masks, the distancing, but we forgot about the unpredictability of free will, mistrust in science, and simple human behavior. It was hard enough to process 750,000 deaths, 500,000, 250,000 before that. Each milepost leaving us as unsure as the next as to what such a moment called for.
So really, guys, how heartbroken do you expect us to actually feel about Lester Holt leaving NBC Nightly News, right? Also, it wasn't just that. In the same year he made that COVID comment, Holt went even further when he said that fairness is overrated while accepting a journalism award. The guy really went off and said that the idea that we should always give two sides equal weight and merit does not reflect the world that we find ourselves in, or that any contrary view does not deserve our time or attention. Now, according to him, decisions to not give unsupported arguments equal time are not a dereliction of journalistic responsibility or some kind of agenda. In fact, it's just the opposite. And like many people who were quick to criticize Trump, Holt just automatically labeled opposition misinformation. That providing an open platform for misinformation for anyone to come and say whatever they want, especially when issues of public health and safety are at stake can be, according to him, quite disastrous. So he declared the duty of reporters to be fair to the truth. NBC News Executive Vice President of Programming Janelle Rodriguez also said that because of Lester's steady and thoughtful leadership, nightly news has sustained its perch as a trusted and top news destination for millions of viewers across America. I mean, this is the same host of the same network that gave us Saturday Night Live who used Tom Hanks to depict MAGA supporters as racist rednecks.